I want to start with naming and naming convention because I think it's always very, very difficult in communication. Not only when we talk about products, but also who we are, what we do. And I think in this round are especially people who maintain something or coordinate something within the current ongoing Eternity development. And of course, every single one of us can, like our positions can switch, or other people can step in or take over. But right now, I think everyone here in the call is coordinating a specific part of the software development in the Eternity ecosystem. I would like to share my screen now for the 5-minute introduction from my side. Just need to check which one is the right one to choose. This one. So I have prepared a short, small document, and this document I just want to go through from the start. And because I think it's important, I just want to give as an intro that this like ecosystem development product update is for everyone, like a high-level thing, so everyone in the community can understand what's currently been worked on. And I would say, I like to say, call it elected, right? Kind of the community elected us and trusted us to build a blockchain and an ecosystem around it, which enables not only developers, but also later on, of course, users to use such decentralized public smart contract platform. That also means we should not only build this free software, we should like put lots of efforts into it so people understand and are able to use it. And last but not least, because they supported us, we are also accountable for the work we are doing in the public community. And I would like to use those calls to just inform and be as transparent as possible. Over the last week or 2 weeks, we have discussed in many different groups, many different journeys, and how to tackle this hundred thousands of problems that we are facing in making this work. Here I have a little graph which was initiated by some people in the team. And the idea was, who are we addressing right now with our work? And we came up with kind of 2 personas. One is a developer, full stack developer. Another one is a smart contract blockchain developer. And if you have those 2 personas, you have the developer or the blockchain developer, which kind of need to first understand what is the Eternity protocol, what are the different features and how to use them. Then in order to experience them, they need to have ways to interact with it, have a good documentation, play around with sample applications. And when they then decide that this is the technology they want to use to build a blockchain application, they need all handy tools like debuggers, SDKs, they need hosted infrastructure. Especially when they get successful and they get lots and lots of users, they also need to care a lot and think about like production environment. I think we tackle many of those areas, and the areas of work we are having right now is, of course, obviously we have developed the Eternity blockchain smart contract platform, which launched in November. We have put efforts into providing basic infrastructure and the middleware that can just makes the development and the usage of this technology easier. We have started with a lot of frameworks, different SDKs. Our documentation gets better. We have developer tools, debug tools. But also we have interfaces, and interfaces are also extremely important, like wallets or like it can be a browser wallet, a mobile browser that you can use to browse applications. And last but not least, we want to have applications, and we are also building a few that people can use. And but all the 4 pillars before need to be there in order to build applications and use applications. I just give a quick overview what the active development is right now. So the core protocol development is still state channels, virtual machines, Sophia language, generalized accounts, Stratum, and a lot of maintenance security testing. This is ongoing and a lot of work and moving fast. We have we are working on the middleware, which is like a hosted database that you can that is important in order to and comparable to Infura or Alchemy API, and it's just an essential part that you can see in many other in many other setups like this. We're doing a lot for developers, which it's this development environment, mainly smart contract development, but also things like online or debug tools and online IDEs. We're working on documentation hub. We are preparing SDKs. There are tutorials, technical support channels. New standards are getting discussed and libraries getting built and examples getting built. In the interfaces, we are working on base, wallet, and app, and a browser. We're working on a browser plugin. We have been working on a blockchain explorer. There is hardware wallet support, for example, Ledger Wallet, and we also care a lot about security in having a vault, cold wallet, two-device approach that we support, and where we also try to push standards. The user itself has just a few things to do right now. He has a Telegram bot, a drone graffiti app, which was, maybe people can say a few sentences later. There's a voting app and governance app in planning. State channel apps have been built and going and are currently being developed. We want to have apps for our features like the name registration. And obviously there are many incubated or supported projects and community projects that also popped up in the past 4 months, and we must say Eternity is only 4 months old. And last but not least, because people don't see that shit, is hosting. And hosting is not only seed nodes and development nodes and the middleware and the websites and the DNS and the base app and the Explorer, the playground. I mean, I don't have to read this list. It's just a lot of things that that's been taken care of. And without this, also many of the things above will just not work. Or basically nothing will work except the blockchain. So the maintainers and coordinators, I try to remove the word managers. This is just a cut through the current setup. These are people who are coordinating and maintaining different types of products. We switch positions from time to time here. Somebody's ill or on holiday, or it's just not that much to do, so you go and jump on a different product that needs help. I think this is totally normal and this is agile. And to wrap up my introduction, we have been focusing a lot in the past 2 or 3 weeks into ramping up our internal and external communication and really putting out links for like public stuff, a link collection about things that's going on, regular written posts in our forum. This one is the first public recording we can hopefully share. We have public proposals and forum discussions about several stuff going on right now. We have a general developer public hangout that happened already 3-4 times. There are other hangouts that we join, like a state channel public researchers call, and we have also initiated our own call, and this seems to be welcome and could be improved. And we have still not really decided what is our direct communication channel and public developer chat, but I think we are able to do this soon. Last but not least, obviously, there are also lots of public presentations. We go to conferences, we give workshops, we participate in meetups, we have ambassadors that share things. We have partners like Decade.org who prepare tutorials and educational material, and of course, boring but most important, documentation. So everything we do here now, and all, including this call, I count as documentation. And I think it's extremely important. That's from my side. I would like to just make a round here, and I will just start in the without a clear path. I will just go through the people and let everyone speak for 1 or 2 minutes and update everyone else here. that's it. So maybe let's start with Bigger and the documentation hub.
Okay, I was just hoping not to be the next one, but yeah, okay, good. So yeah, as some of you know already, the alpha test version was published last Friday, and you can see the progress on GitHub and on Eternity / documentation minus hub. Maybe it was we have currently, I think, around 149 GitHub repository related to the whole Eternity project. And currently, if interested people or like developers want to get started or just want to look up things, they have to go through all the GitHub repositories and search for the stuff that they are searching for. And it's not the best, let's say, developer user experience in general. So the vision was to create a hub to get everything bundled in one hub and to get everything also structured, and later on to start the whole tour of Eternity Safari browser. So this is it, basically what I was working until now. And so I wrote a little introduction. We have the note, how to get started, and the whole protocol, which is replaces the outdated white paper with all the features for like interesting people who are interested in the single features. We have the extensions, which will more will follow soon in the future. We have the node usage API. We have developer tools. More will be added soon. The SDKs, frameworks like Forge.ai. We have the Sophia language libraries, and we have Sophia examples. And one of my visions was also we have at GitHub right now we have one repository called the tutorials, but I want to separate tutorials with how-to guides, because I think a tutorial is very learn-oriented. I think someone who starts a tutorial wants to get a learning out of it. But there's also a difference between user personas. Sorry, can everyone else mute themselves who is not talking, because it's really disturbing.
Someone is making strange Star Wars noises.
Yeah, it's not nice. So it's very distracting. The how-to guides, it's like for people who are more goal-oriented. Maybe they don't want to learn in the first place something, but they just want to get something running. So yeah, that's why I separated between how-to guides, like how to create a account, how to get a middleware running, how to run a CPU miner in Ubuntu, and so on and so on. And then last but not least, we have tutorials, which more will follow soon. And yeah, that's basically it from now. It's still a lot of work in progress. But another vision idea I had was to in the landing page right now, which you can see in this section, to add icons, and for every feature we have, that we have at least one demo app with one tutorial where the people can go through it. And later on, it would be replaced by the playground, which vision is to start a tour inside of the playground for people who are new to Eternity and want to get started and to want to learn about the whole Eternity ecosystem. So
okay.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. I think this is already a very in-depth update from the documentation hub. And I would like to add here that we will also publish written updates in the forum with this information. And I would like to go, like continue going through all the people here in this call and keep it a little bit dense. The next person, Pega, you can also stop yours. Okay, stop, perfect. So let's just go down the list. Dincho, we haven't had the chance to talk, and but I know that we have that you have been looking at the whole hosting in the Eternity ecosystem. Maybe you can give a quick update from your side.
Okay, do you hear me?
Yes.
So yeah, I have been working on the supporting the core developers and infrastructure related to blockchain seed nodes from the beginning, I guess. So let me try to share a screen. Okay, do you see this one? Do you see my screen?
Yes.
So we're currently supporting about 6 different environments. That's the main nodes we are currently used for seeding the mainnet. It's about 40 nodes, sorry. The testnet nodes, which are about 50 nodes, and 3 or 4 development environments that are used mainly for testing and integration. So this is our current state together with all the integration servers. I mean, mostly the configuration, automatic deployments, and supporting the release process by automation.
And what has been the main work in the past weeks for you? Like, what took most of your time in the past weeks?
Well, we have a lot of maintenance tasks, like some node get out of disk space, or etc. For example, the recent week we are actively working to have some process to restore the actual blockchain from snapshots, because the sync from zero is starting to be a slow process. And yeah, we support all the core repositories with their continuous integration information, releasing the artifacts, and etc.
Thank you very much, Dincho. Maybe Sergey, you can maybe follow up with Dincho, saying a little bit about the last 2 or 3 weeks in core development and what has been done there.
Yeah, several big things. So the biggest thing is probably the core development will be shrinked a little bit. So we were thinking about like on which features we should concentrate and which might want to be postponed. And as you just said, I mean, we have a lot of maintenance stuff. We also have like now focus on the new VM. So the first candidate, they also want to bring Stratum to the end. So the first candidate which comes to the mind is state channels. Yeah? So it probably is going in the direction that we're going to get much slower there, at least until the fate has been and generalized accounts have been actively developed. Then then what I've been busy with for some hours is somehow the number of tickets in our ticket management system is exploding. So I think it's getting slowly out of control. So there are some cleanups are needed. And yeah, we're also learning and playing with Toggle. which probably is bringing not so much fun to developers, but I think it's kind of an interesting tool, and we'll see whether we benefit from it. And if yes, then we keep using it. If not, then yeah, we just suck it.
I think this is also good. It's also a good update, which you just said. So Toggle is what we use for time tracking now. And maybe we can in the future also share high-level exports or reportings to our community, how many hours of work has been spent on different areas. I think this is really nice if it's really high level, or it can also be only a percentage or so, but let's see what we get out of this and how this helps people maybe to also visually understand where we put our efforts in. Thank you very much.
I mean, the biggest challenge with Toggle will be not the Toggle itself, but making sure that people are using it. So we'll see.
Of course. And Tiger, I'm also waiting. For I think what we also should do is, of course, we should do written updates for the core development. And I would even go one step further and would welcome having written updates about the different features like the virtual machine, Sophia development, Stratum development, generalized accounts development, just in high-level descriptions, 5 to 10 sentences from each coordinator of the different feature.
Weekly, right? Because we had this short discussion.
The written updates is enough every 2 weeks. So every time when we start a new sprint.
Okay.
This is absolutely okay. And they also shouldn't take too much time. They really should be a high-level description about what's going on in a written form. So maybe I jump to Andrea, and Andrea, you can afterwards maybe give the word to John to tell us a little bit about the SDKs in the middleware.
Yes. So on the SDK side, most of the effort now is directed to switch from the legacy compiler that was bundled with the node to the new compiler that is delivered as a third-party software. On the other side, more effort, especially for the JavaScript and Python SDK, is been dedicated to react quicker to changes in the current development branch of the node, so we can be more in line with to the feature that gets released with the node. John?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
No, we can't hear you, John.
Now you're muted again. We could hear you for a second, but right now you're muted.
There was Andreas' microphone.
Can I talk in your microphone?
Yes.
Can I be heard?
Yes, works fine.
Cool, man. Can you hear me? Okay, so yeah, nothing very much has happened on the middleware in the last couple of weeks because I've been sick and getting married. Features which are coming up are properly integrating the noise stuff, so we get the information straight from the source. More queries for different transaction types, so that you can watch for your contract, for your Oracle, for whatever else. And what was the last one? I had one more, and it's being able to query a contract by the parameters and the method that it's called on, so that we can decode the call data and provide some input and some information about how contracts are called. So those things will be coming up soon.
Thank you. I would like to add to that we try, or we are putting efforts into having the hosting more centralized. I don't want to say centralized. Having the hosting managed by someone else. So your time is more freed up. And also, I think it's important to say that we are working fast and hard on this middleware and SDKs. This is all work in progress and in an experimental stages, is not production ready in terms of for millions and millions and billions of users. But of course, you will get there. And this is why we're putting effort in. Thank you very much for the update. I would like to jump to Stoyan and talk a little bit about the interface, wallet browser, and what has been done there in the past 2 weeks. Just high-level description, please. Thank you.
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, perfectly fine.
Okay, great. So yeah, this is the first sprint that I've been facilitating the work on the base app. There's been some adjustment due to that, and also because we, as Sergey mentioned, we switched from to using Toggle. But overall, the goals that we set for the sprint were to prepare for submitting the base app to the iOS App Store and to the Android Play Market. And we're actually doing pretty good in terms of meeting those goals. The sprint is over on Tuesday, so we have a few more days left, but we're doing pretty good. In terms of that part, we prepare them, and then the submission process has its own timeline because it's, it depends on Apple and on Google or Android to actually approve us. But as far as our part, we're doing pretty good. Another goal from this sprint is to complete the transaction history feature, which is part of the wallet. We're also doing quite good on that. Overall, as I'm, getting more effective in facilitating this, we're going to improve the communication and also the transparency, so people could see more clearly what we're doing. That's that? Oh, that was not for me. So we're improving the transparency, and with Toggle, and with also having things more easily accessible and Waffle in the future, whatever we use. I think it's going to be more clear for the community what we're working on. We have some new goals coming from Emin for future sprints, but they're still in the talks, so I'm not going to say much about them. But yeah, overall, getting more effective and more transparent.
Thank you very much, Stoyan. Maybe we can jump to Milan. Milan, you are working on a browser extension wallet, or trying to figure this out, right?
Yeah. So the past 2 weeks, mostly what's been done is research, poking around with Google Chrome's content security policy, because there is a little bit tricky thing that you have to do in order to execute stuff in the extension. I'm trying to reuse base app components and use Vue.js. So basically lower the development in the browser extension. The past week, basic functionalities were achieved, like generating wallet via mnemonic seed or via private key, communication to the blockchain via the SDK, and also a few discussions with NAS and the SDK team about the identity provider that they are working on for providing something like Web3.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that update. Next in line is Pivo. Please tell us a little bit what's going on in your universe.
So I'm working on 3 things. Elixir SDK, drone graffiti app, and tutorials and examples. So let me start with tutorials and examples. In the last weeks, we didn't do a lot of work, but a few days ago, Hans did a code review about our Sophia code style, and I asked the team to have a look at it and adjust our examples accordingly. I think about a month ago, we started work on implementing an Elixir SDK that we want to deeply integrate with the Aeternity node. Currently, we're working to bring basic functionality to the SDK by auto-generating the API wrapper for the Aeternity node using Swagger, using the Erlang serialization that was already implemented for Aeternity node, and using RLP to provide the basic endpoints to quickly do transactions out of Elixir. And there are no blockers with this project. It's all working fine. And I did work on the drone graffiti app, where we did an example showcase in Mexico City in February. And in the last weeks, we were just optimizing stuff to get it into a production-ready version that will be online only at some point. And we have a few blockers here, so we want to discuss with the marketing team or other teams to build a landing page for this, where we can onboard people to the app. We have to discuss with the base app team about adding this app in the base app. We need to find a strategy for opening up this auction to everybody. We need to talk to infrastructure teams to host and have hosted nodes with somewhat high performance and availability. And we have a few suboptimal things right now in the project that we need to do some more work on. For example, switching to the new compiler to make use of the new language features. We have some design issues as the base app changed the design for integration of apps, that we now have 2 toolbars, and this doesn't look very modern. We need to fix our deployment, and we have to talk about desktop support, or probably we'll have no desktop support for now. But otherwise, this project is quite ready, I would say.
Great.
So, my update.
Great. Thank you very much, Pivo, for the update. I would like to also give Shubhendu a word, because he's like working and jumping around different projects, but is just essential, important things. Maybe, Shubhendu, just give us a short update about your past 10, 14 days and what you have been working on mainly.
Mainly, I've been helping with the Python SDK APIs and the AEX2 about identity provider. So, can you hear me?
Yes, I just had a little glitch in my network. So the AX2 identity provider is one of the first extensions, which is also published on GitHub and in the forum, how wallets and applications interact with each other. So this has been part of your work, and you said the Python SDK, right?
Yes.
And I know, and also supporting in hosting.
Yeah, I'm just basically helping Andrea here to in the hosting of all the different components that there are, like contracts, app, nodes that the SDK team has, and goggles. Also, there was Blockchain Explorer, so that too. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm giving the word to Martin, who is overlooking or coordinating the dev suite right now.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly well.
Yes.
Okay, so what we were focused last week on the dev suite team, so we're continuing to fixing some known issues in the Playground app, and after we are done with this, we will host it on the and we will be make it available for using with the testnet. Also, we are focused on creating for now a syntax highlighting tool and auto-completion tool for the JetBrains products like WebStorm. We believe that this will be very beneficial for our clients and the developers. We already have this kind of tool for Visual Studio. We will next create this kind of plugin or tool for the Monaco editor, which is integrated in the Playground. Also, we had made some researches about the task management tools that we should migrate to, because, as we all know, Waffle is closing down. Also, we have created the designs for something called the Tour of Eternity. which is more to the learning side, and we will have more information for the community available really soon. Also, we have worked on the state channels demo, as mentioned in the last meeting, and we had a lot of progress there. The good thing is that we have found some issues. We have contacted the SDK team, the core team that are working on the state channels, and also the base app team, because we have found some issues there, and we are all working together to fix them. We have great design developed, created for the demo, and hopefully, probably next week, we will have this done. It's now currently integrated in the base app, and yeah, I think this is our updates for the past week.
Thank you very much, Martin.
Thank you.
I would like to maybe, I think we got more or less everyone, but a very important here also in this group is Emil, who has been the main architect in thinking about all those different moving parts next to the protocol. Maybe Emil, you can also not only say what was your main work in the past weeks, but also give a little outlook on what you are focusing on right now in order to support this whole ecosystem.
Okay. Yeah, so basically my focus is a little bit the expansions, and use the expansions more as a vehicle to coordinate the work of all these different moving parts, and they also fit together because as we did it in the last weeks and months, that was a lot of, like, let's call it manual coordination, and also not very accessible for other people who are working out there on projects that we might not even know about. So I will focus a bit more on that and focus on that. And so there also we have the first expansion now drafted. And I would like also again to, especially the people that are affected by this, I think Milan, of course, but also the base app team, to look into that again, and also, of course, the guys from AirGap to comment a bit more on that. What we will do there, since there was not so much feedback yet, what we will do is to split the expansion 2 up into 2 parts and define the scope a bit better. I think this will make this whole expansion more accessible and easier for everyone to understand it, and then also for all people to give really more input on this. And other than that, I think in the following days, I mean, there's some low-hanging fruits that are already specified but not published. For example, the key storage format for different wallets so that you can import and export your keys. This is something that is specified and used, for example, in the CLIs that we have already. So that should be also published as an expansion. Then the whole things like key derivations, but also things like how to generate the identicons so that they look the same across different wallets and actually are useful for the user to compare addresses. And then there's some things that might need a bit more work, and this is we have already some token contracts ported to Sophia, but we should also have an expansion for that describes this functionality on a certain level. So that's it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I would like to have like 2 more minutes, or how much is needed. So I think here's also one more person in the call. I just saw Nikita, who is kind of bridging in between core and like smart contract development in the Ethereum world and testing things in the Eternity ecosystem. Maybe Nikita, you can also say a few words about stuff that you have been in touch with over the past 10 days. I think it's also interesting to get this feedback.
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Perfectly fine.
Okay, let's do this. As some of you might have noticed, I've been running around as usually in like half a dozen chats and trying to catch up with things and see if they make sense or not. Through the asynchronous nature of our work organization, sometimes things are not always aligned with the best interest of the project, and no one is really to blame with that. So, but yeah, sometimes there's groups of people that lose a little bit the focus for the big picture. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Yeah,
Sure.
because my screen froze again, but it's with Jitsi, it's always like that. Yeah. So mostly focusing on those things that, in my sense, are either not really consistent, or require too much like kind of tribe or extra knowledge, or would just be like a absolute blocker for development process. That's why I also love bringing our teams on building stuff, actually, because just as with the drone app, when Philip started building it and found like two critical security issues and lots of other bugs, so is it also going with the absolutely important work which Martin and his guys are doing for the coffee store demo app. So it's a totally different thing to testing your car in your workshop than bringing it on the racetrack. And we're making lots of important learnings here. And what I see often is there were some problems and they were fixed in a kind of elegant way. But you just need to know like this and that very little extra in here and this and that. Oh, it's written here, it's written there, you know. But yeah, I think we should be the ones spending a couple of extra hours or days on making things so great that actually in the future, not absolutely everyone will stumble across this problem. So there's the particular example of dividing data in nested maps, so to say. It's solved in a way which is inconsistent with the Sophia language, and you really need to know how it is. And I can guarantee you, just with this, like this out of gas thing, right? It was implemented in a way where we knew how it was going to work. But Hans was then asked like 10 times a day, what does this encrypted message mean? Because they just didn't return it as a string, but it was base 64 encoded, right? So we're making our lives easier sometimes at the cost of the future development community, where I can guarantee that there's things that absolutely everyone will have an issue or a question with. So yeah, here I'm trying to figure out how we can just make it to straighten it out a little bit for everybody. So it needs as little extra knowledge for edge cases as possible, and everything is sleek, and you can go and build quite straightforwardly.
This is a general thing I would like to address to everyone here, and also everyone who might watch this call afterwards, that when we have topics, even if they are small topics, go in the forum, write a topic, even if it's just 1 or 2 sentences. It will help people in the future when they are searching for things or running into similar problems to just finding it and joining the discussion. And even if it's not very active yet, and if you don't get a response, it's still valuable having it as an archive and having it as a place where discussions can happen. So please, also for you, Nikita, whenever you have interesting stuff that's going on, put them into the forum and let other people join. Yeah, I don't know. Is there in this
Gather
room
some stuff, and I will write some AEX, some expansion proposals.
I'm looking forward to this one. Is there any, so because we are not often having, I mean, now in the future we will have this round once per week, and I think we are very good in time. It's 50 minutes now, so let's give it another 10 minutes or whatever. It can also be just 5. If there are questions to raise in between the people here in this room, please do it now. It's open table.
I have one thing. To your very nice overview, Emin, I think it would be great if you could also add the token migration there for the
Absolutely
app, because it's quite a big app, actually, landing page, an app for changing the tokens from one blockchain to another, plus this payload data tool. So this is
Absolutely.
And it has to be adjusted in the at least until September. We have to make some decisions there.
The map you are saying is basically we have started, as Emil and me have started a product map a few weeks ago, a visual representation of all the different products. I think we will go over this one more time, maybe even today, and then we will just open it up so every one of you can also go inside there and help us to optimize this. And I would like to keep this as up to date as possible for the community with all the different things that's going on, and also for ourselves, just to have a visual representation and bird eye view on the different moving parts in the ecosystem. Anyone else? That's good. Everyone is happy. Then I wish extremely productive work to everyone. And thank you. I think this was a great success, this call. We got a lot of updates. And I'm also looking forward to the written updates from each product coordinator or team every 2 weeks. And I will take care that there is a link collection, and so all the different updates also are discoverable easy. And yeah, push forward in internal and external communication of everything that's going on. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Very good.
Bye.
Have a good day.